It's time for WrestleShoot. The beast comes out in the dead of night. WrestleShoot eats a Tuesday night. Rob and Chris don't pull the punches, bitch. WrestleShoot. Breaking it down, WrestleShoot. Telling the facts, WrestleShoot. Stories on the road, WrestleShoot. That's our Fighters podcast. No Carney ever escapes their sight. Coming at you live every Tuesday night. Hey, WrestleShoot. Anti-social network, WrestleShoot. Sticky and hot, WrestleShoot. Sometimes act like jerks, WrestleShoot. Always bringing on the guts.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. That's right. This is the greatest goddamn professional wrestling intro show you've ever seen before. You got come on, guys. Let's get on the same page. WrestleShoot is top shelf for our intro, man.
That fucking intro just kills. It's funny. I have a song I actually wrote that has sort of the same cadence. In fact, it's something I played in the ring 30 years ago, and it's called Worship, and it's fucking amazing because I love that sort of opposing fucking bouncing fucking metal. It's my favorite metal.
Yeah, kind of an Iron Maiden feel on those guitars.
Yeah, it's Iron Maiden. Yes, but no. I don't. Iron Maiden. Okay, I love Iron Maiden. Don't get me wrong, but there's something that song just goes to that level that just is really fucking. I just dig the shit out of it, man. I can listen to that every time I'm doing it. I'm fucking air guitar listening to it, man.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, here we are, guys. We are back here for week 3 of the WrestleShoot month of Payne. Hell yeah. And I'm excited I'm excited that this week we are finally going to get into my subject of what the hell happened to the NWA.
No.
What?
No. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm going to cut you off, but we are going to get into the story, the B-Bus. Max is going to finish last week.
You're right. That's a better thing than what I want to do anyway. So, yeah, we're going to, I guess, then this week we'll put my what the hell happened to NWA off till next week? Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it next week.
Fuck yeah, let's do it next week. So, Max, you got some shit.
This is a run-in. WrestleShoot run-in. Who the fuck could it be? Yeah, a run-in. WrestleShoot run-in. Let's all see who it could be. Yeah, WrestleShoot.
Look what we got here.
Oh, it's me. It's Monthe and P. How are you guys?
Fuck yeah, brother. What's up? You know it's hilarious, Max. Last week we were talking about how people have been calling me and Chris the Opie and Anthony of pro wrestling, right? Well, I'll tell you what, people call this man and his tag team partner the Howard Stern of pro wrestling. Of course, I'm referring to the Monthe and the Pharaoh show. Oh shit, Monthe. You know what this means? If me and Chris are truly the Opie and Anthony, right now that makes Max Payne our Jim Norton.
Well, first of all, Max, glad to see you, my friend. We had Max on a few years ago. Jimmy and I loved having him on. Great guy. We were just talking before the show. Looks fantastic. And, Rob and Chris, always an honor to be on WrestleShoot. And if I could just weigh in on that intro song, I think I told you before, Rob and Chris, best intro song. Love that song. Great job.
Thank you. Love it. Well,
Hey,
Monthe.
The run-in song is no fucking slouch. Come on.
No, the running song rocks. I was
I thought it was
totally
real
rocking
running, to
out.
be honest.
You know, that's like that moment when you're on hold where you go, could you just fucking, could we not have the guest and just go ahead and finish out the song? So we can,
Yeah.
could you put me back on hold so I can hear the rest of the song that was playing?
Yeah, just keep it going.
I had somebody on hold at my shoot job the other day. When I reconnected, he actually said to me, "Hey, man, I was just listening to Simple Man on hold. Can you put me back on hold to finish the song?" I
Stop
said,
talking for a while.
"We played Simple Man? Really? All right, yeah, I'll put you back on hold, buddy." All right. So listen, we have a segment
Maybe it was
that we usually do here at the beginning of the show. Recently, Max knows about it. Me and Chris thought of this brainchild. What really pisses me off, and I don't necessarily have something. Chris, Max, what really pisses you guys off?
I got nothing, man.
Nothing?
No.
Ronnie, you got anything?
I
Monty?
just got homework.
I got plenty, man. How much time do we have right now?
Fuck, all the time you want. What really pisses you off, babe?
Well, let's open up with the first can of worms is Hannibal, right? So I had Marty on Wednesday. We had Marty Jannetty on the Monthe the Pharaoh show. He's on. He's usually on. He's a regular guest, and he's a regular guest on a lot of shows. But seems like Marty had went to Hannibal and asked for $10,000 for an interview, and he said he would give him the greatest interview of all time. Again, whether we think it's ridiculous or not really doesn't matter, right? It's wrestling, right? So wrestles, but the wrestles will squeeze a penny out. If you have a penny in your pocket, they'll take it from you and leave you stranded, right, Max? Come on, let's be fair here. But anyway,
I would. The difference is that's why I'm fucking a broke ex wrestler is because I never was that guy and I've never been that guy. So I'd like to say that yes, that's right. In fact, I was telling these guys, and we don't have to talk about this on the air, but I always thought that was if you and I had any heat at all, it was because of dealings somebody else did over money between us, and that's the part about the business that to me is always fucking. You know, I don't work that way. I never have, man, because I don't believe that money's the only thing in life. So I cherish my relationships with great people. So I don't fuck around with it. If money gets in the way, I'll kick it the fuck out of the way. So I'm a little different, Monty. I will say.
So Max, then you probably could get a little pissed off at me because I again, I was asked to come on. I didn't really know you were coming on, but me and Jimmy met you. You're a fantastic guy. I mean that from the heart. And as we got to know you and understood about you, again, guys, you didn't expect this to happen, but now that Max brought it up, I might as well bring it up. Max was starting to come around, and people were very interested in having him on, and Max got involved. And Max, I don't even know if you're still involved, but there's a guy like Think Inc., I think his name was, right? And this guy, huh?
Oh God, man! Go ahead, Monty.
Okay. So he had this. Let me just say it. Then it's you, Max. But this guy would sign wrestlers like Max or say they were his exclusive people, and the guy clearly, there's a tape out there that Max, when he was in the WWE, that is almost like treasure to many wrestling fans. And Max was holding this treasure, and I knew this guy. And I'm sorry if I'm being too clear about this, but I knew this guy was using Max in hopes that he could get hold of that tape and use it for himself. And I didn't like it. And it was a problem. And Max, I remember the last time we spoke, I was actually at the gym, and you're like, hey, go through this guy. I said, I will never go through that fucking piece of shit because he's using you, and I'm not going to deal with that. Right? So there are good people in wrestling. Max is one of them. I'm not saying because Max is here. I knew he was a good guy. You could tell good guys, okay?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And again, bad guys aren't guys that, if they're going to, look, they need to make their money. So if you're fool enough to pay $10,000 for an interview, go ahead and do it. And Max, the show's yours after I just say this last statement. But Hannibal didn't have to take that information and start making videos on it and trying to embarrass the guy. So I had Marty on, and Marty tore him a new ass, and now Hannibal's all upset, and I did a video on Hannibal, and I got a lot more for Hannibal this week. We're going to have a good old time, Hannibal. At some point, you and me will meet, and you probably can beat my ass. I'm sure you can, but we'll see. Anyway, Max, you're on.
Fuck that. You are a Long Island dude. You make sure to have that blackjack handy. Fuck Hannibal.
You know, I remember when I went to their show, man. Was it you that had been drinking, Monte?
We were pretty. Listen, that with all due respect, Max, we didn't give you a Monthe Nefaro interview. Me and Jimmy were in the bag. We were fucking toast. We embarrassed ourselves. We ruined the interview.
To say no. I didn't mean it in a bad way.
No, but we did. We ruined that interview. We watch it. We're like, what the fuck? We were so hammered, Max. It was.
I want to watch that.
Gone.
I want to watch that too.
Well, I've told you, brother. I said to Rob, so I'm so glad you're here. I'll come on your show anytime, Monte. That's a promise, bro. I'd love to come back on your show because I remember sitting in the background. You had a nice black couch I was sitting on or something, and I'll tell you what pisses me off. I've been given this real amazing gift, and I don't know how to explain it without sounding like a real fucking sap. But I was out in the middle of nowhere in one of my friends' houses one time, and I was given the most amazing gift. I think we all have our own Mr. Hyde in our life. You know what I mean? And I what I mean by that is, I come from a family of fucking, man, when my brothers and my father, my father not so much because he was older by the time I got older. I didn't really see my dad rage, but all my brothers raged, and I'm just come from that kind of fucking family that when you push me too far and I snap, it's that really ugly, and I call it. I call it Mr. Hyde. Yeah, exactly. That fucking, you've gone too far, and no amount of reason's gonna fucking get me out of that. And I was out in the middle of nowhere, and something came over me this night that taught me these lessons. A whole bunch of lessons just came to me. Maybe it's because I just smoked some really good weed. I mean, I don't want to blame it on weed because that would be an easy out. But I had all these real incredible gifts come to me. And the first one was, until you accept that you got this ugly motherfucking Mr. Hyde, you're never going to change your life. You're never going to fucking, you're going to just be like everybody else in the world that hides their Mr. Hyde. And the first step to fucking changing your life is accepting that you got this really ugly Mr. Hyde. And I have this fucking philosophy that I practice and I preach, and it's got rules. All these rules came to me, and every time I feel fucking Mr. Hyde rearing his fucking ugly head, I squelch him. I've got, like I told you, I've got all, and I'll explore this with you in the future. I'm not going to give it to you all now, but what really pisses me off are people who fucking try to lie that they don't have a Mr. Hyde. When people fucking... Yeah. When you go out into the world and you find out isn't that what we all base really our interaction with other fucking humans is, how bad is their Mr. Hyde? We all want their Dr. Jekyll to be nothing but good, and they only dwell on their Dr. Jekyll, but that's never the fucking case. And it never ceases to amaze me how ugly people can be. And that's what pisses me off, when you go out in the world and people lie about their Mr. Hyde, and then they hide that from you, and then use it so underhandedly, maliciously behind your back, just like you were talking about the guy that invited me on your show. And then you realize what the ramifications of that are. I'm really guilty because I'm one of those people. I'll just tell you straight out. I'm easy to take advantage of, and the guy we're talking about, Monthe, took advantage of me. I sold him all of my ring gear because he made me promises about the movie, which he didn't get, incidentally. The movie's going to come out and have nothing to do with him. It's going to come out in the next 3 or 4 months, but it's got nothing to do with him. But and sad for him because all he would have had to have done was kept up to his word. And that's what I mean by that's what pisses me off in life. If you're going to that's part of the Mr. Hyde side of things. If you're going to tell somebody you're going to do something, you're going to be something, you are somebody, then be that. Or don't fucking say it. And accept the fact that you got an ugly Mr. Hyde.
Wow.
The way that I learned to deal with those Mr. Hydes in wrestling was just to understand that everybody thinks they're the baby of their story. Nobody believes they're the heel. Everybody has to. Nobody can walk. Oh, I'm one of the rare guys like
polishing a turd.
When I was having my run with using and selling drugs and really doing the absolute opposite of the right thing, I was one of those few people who would out loud say, I'm a bad guy. I'm a criminal. I'm the bad guy. But most people have a reason. Well, I only do this for now for X, Y, Z. They always have an excuse because nobody wants to admit they're the heel of their own story.
I'll tell you this. Go ahead, Max. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's so right. That's one of the things that you'll find as you guys get to know me. I got a lot of fucking, a classic example of this is Rob is try to talk to, I hate the word now, and I even wrote a song about it, but because it's not fair, try to talk to most wrestlers about rats. And you won't. They will immediately go. And where were we? What was we doing back in 1987 when we were going down to Memphis? And they'll immediately start trying to change the subject. They don't want to talk about women that they've abused and used in their life in the wrestling business. I'm not afraid of that. I made a lot of mistakes, and it cost me. It cost me dearly and gravely when you finally read the stories, because I'm not afraid to put them in my book. When my book finally comes out, some of the stories are cripplingly ugly. But I think in order for somebody to appreciate what you've been through in your life, you can't be afraid to get down and dirty. And that's one thing I'm not. And I like you said, Rob, man, it takes a level of courage to fucking step forth and go, you know what? I've been a heel a lot in my fucking life, and I made some serious motherfucking mistakes. But I'm not afraid to own up to them, and that's why. And I'll tell you the reason for that. Because the last thing anybody's ever going to do to me, because I've been blindsided enough in my life, no motherfucker's ever going to blindside me and go, hey, Max, what about that one time when you did that? Go ahead, do it. Watch what'll happen. I'll go, yep, I did that. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but it sounds like something I do, so sure.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Well, I think you guys all bring up great points. And when you guys were speaking, I was thinking about OJ. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. I think people believe their own shit at some point, and their own shit becomes reality. But first of all, both of you guys, Max, Rob, congratulations and kudos for recognizing your shortfalls. We all have them, and that's where when me and Jimmy first got into this, and Rob, Chris, I'm sorry if I'm taking the show in a different way.
Fuck no, this is how we do it over here.
All right.
It's organic talk.
When we first started, there was a template to doing this, right? And it was like, talk to a wrestler, talk about their matches, talk about the dirt and whatever. And at some point I turned to Jimmy and I'm like, I can't do this. This is not what I want. And Jimmy's like, it's not what I want either. And I said, I want to know the moral fiber of the person, period. good, bad, or indifferent, right? Because we don't judge. You tell your story. Listen, if Marty Jannetty wants to come on and call Shawn Michaels, whatever, that's his choice, right? I'm not forcing it. I'm not judging. But I also, Jimmy and I had made a decision is we're not going to stand for people taking advantage of people. Now, again, Max is a big boy. Tony Atlas is a big boy. Marty Jannetty are all big boys, right? But we will not sit back and we'll let people take advantage of said legends under our watch. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Max, going back to that time, I had a really nasty fallout with that Think Inc. guy because I did not like the game he was playing with you, and I knew what it was about. And again, you don't need me to defend you, but I won't sit back either. I'm not saying you wanted me to defend you. I'm just not taking that shit, and I won't take it. I won't take it from Hannibal. I won't take it from fucking Think Inc. I won't take it from anybody. So, and the reality of it, dude, is like, the point is people have to start owning up to their bullshit. And you're a bad person if you take advantage of people. I was thinking, Max, when you were just telling that story, I'm like, you gave that guy your history in wrestling because you trusted him and he fucked you. And that's bullshit in my book. With no fucking moral fiber, he had no problems taking your shit and lying to you. That's a fucking scumbag.
Hey, Monthe, what was that guy's name again?
I'd have to. It's Think Inc. I don't even know if he's in business anymore. I don't ever see his shit anymore. But he had brought some guys in. Guy? He's a New York guy. He
did he claim he was Sheik's exclusive manager too?
No, that's Eric Sims, right? Eric Sims is actually a decent guy. This guy was Think Inc. He had brought in a few people.
I'm losing you guys. Let me go. I'm going to check off and come right back.
Okay.
Yeah. Freaking out again on me.
If you look up Think Inc., Rob, you should be able to pull him up. I don't think he promotes anymore, but I got to tell you, like I said, I got really pissed off when Max was saying he gave him everything because he was going to do something with his fucking movie. I mean, what person does that shit, dude?
Yeah, it's a class of people like
that. But then, okay, in here, but let me say something here, okay? Forgive me. This man, I'm not gonna go. This is.
Shit!
He
was ribbing you. He's like, listen, Monthe, this is really important. You should have done that first.
And just exited out of there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's great shit.
Oh, God damn it. He's back.
I mean, Chris, I got to ask you. You've been in the wrestling business. Rob, you're in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
Being that you guys are wrestlers, probably working people all the time, probably getting laid all the time, right? Because, fucking people just fall in love with characters or whatever else goes on in this planet. I mean, at what point do you guys feel terrible about what you've done?
You mean as far as the rats go?
Whatever. I'm talking about your wrestling life, right? It's like you use that venue or that engine. Look, you get a lot of shit out of it. Max is just talking about, hey, I'm a famous wrestler. Oh my God, I have to have sex with this famous wrestler.
I was more, for me, it was more reactionary for anything. And there's some things I reacted back to people. I always give people the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. But when someone tried to like screw me over or work me, I was always reactionary. And I could have handled maybe certain things differently. And I wish I could go back and change that. But I was always upfront and honest with people. This is what you got with me.
I know, Chris, you're a nice guy, dude. You're a nice guy.
I do have that side though, where like Max, where you can push me to a certain limit. And then once my switch is flipped, that's it. And I got to learn how to control that. I've gotten better over the years with that. But for the most part, I'm pretty even.
One of the main things about why Chris and I clicked so well when we started running together was neither of us ever fucked anyone over. Ever. We never burned a promoter. We never burned a fan. And, the rats, the partying, that experience in life.
Let me jump in, Rob, for that. We treat it like a job. That's why we showed up we did our job, and we treated it just like that. We were there for a certain amount of time. We put everything we had into it, and we treat everybody with respect for the most part.
But so
for the most part, right?
Yeah.
let,
You're a
so
scumbag. You weren't getting respect from me.
so let me finish what I was saying earlier. Let me just summarize this real quickly because I think this is the part that comes back. I mean, this is as old as my parents and what my parents taught me as a kid. Is that what I love is the way that living a certain lifestyle when I follow those feelings and those ideologies every time I have strayed from those things in my life, it's fucking fallen apart. That's where the whole it's so funny because you can call it existentialism, Christianity, theology, whatever the
Yeah.
fuck you want to call it, name it what you will. But when I fall away from forgiving people and loving my enemy and not doing the things that make I mean and the average world out there that oh fuck that bullshit, be a hard ass. You know what, that's not what makes me feel good, man, because no matter how fucking bad somebody fucks me, no matter how bad they fuck me like that, that's not my burden. That's not my burden. And that's that moment in my life where that I have to kill that Mr. Hyde that wants to retaliate, that wants revenge, that wants to go fuck him up. Because now I couldn't fucking beat my way out of a wet paper sack. But in the day, there were very few people I was intimidated by physically. And that part that is so fucking irrelevant now in my life because I felt the success in my own heart of what it feels like to let them burden that fucking burden. I don't have to burden what thinking fucking does ever again, because if somebody comes, so here's my retaliation, Monthe. This is the great part. And thank you for sticking up for me. I appreciate that. That's exactly my point. I don't need to say shit about him. You just did it for me. And somebody one of these days is going to come to me and go, "Hey, dude, will you autograph this for me? Hey, dude, will you do this for me for, with this stuff that I bought from this guy?" And the answer will be, "Hey, I'm sorry. No, I won't." And you'll have to ask him why I won't. That's the part my strength comes from. The shit that he got from me, fuck, that's just real estate, man. To me, what matters is when I close my eyes the last time that fucking sucked that last fucking breath of oxygen across my lungs, man. I want to know that I did everything and that there's a great old saying, you can give fucking people anything you want to physically, all the merchandise, money, gold, and everything, and they'll forget you like that, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And that's
Good
the
point.
part. That's the part that matters to me.
And on that same vein, I do want to finish up with Monthe as well. With okay, so I don't feel bad about calling rats ring rats. I don't feel bad about calling them rats because I've spoken to almost all of them, and they think it's a cute little thing. Ring rats, haha, that's funny. I never walked away from one of them feeling bad because I didn't do anything to them. They went out that night. They went where they knew the wrestlers were going to be. They met the wrestler they wanted to meet. They fucked the wrestler they wanted to fuck.
Personal choice.
It's just like screwing a musician. They took that. They had their fun. That's a wild and out story they get to keep forever, and they move on. When I would feel bad, more so when we would go out with the boys and we would end up getting in fights with like the normies. I would feel bad more so when it was just like at a bar, even if it's a bunch of wrestlers hanging out, but none of the people from the show were there. Nobody knows that we're pro wrestlers. I feel bad when a situation happens. I feel bad afterwards because at the end of the day, these poor drunk fuckers didn't have any clue who they were fucking with. They were just, for whatever reason, doing their thing. Now, if it's at an after party, at a venue, and people from the show were there and they get the fuck slapped out of them. Maybe they're fulfilling some kind of a fantasy. Cool. I don't feel bad when they get smacked around, but your average, like, I'm kind of a tough guy who squares up with one of us and ends up getting beat up. I always took that home and I always had to process it later. I never felt good about that. And
I agree with
Chris even had feelings for people who knew better than to fuck with us. He'd still be like, but that guy just didn't know. And they don't know what they're getting into.
They really don't. They think, the assumption that it is completely fake, and they're like, oh, these guys are really nothing, and they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. So yeah, I would definitely feel bad for them.
professional killers.
What's that?
I said they don't realize they're fucking with professional killers.
It's true, man. People in the wrestling business have died for a whole lot less than a bar fight.
Oh, fuck, man. You know, that's the part about that. That was always the irony to me once I got smart to the business and I was behind the scenes. I would watch people step up to fuck with wrestlers. And I would, there were a couple of times I even went to them and said,
why?
You do realize who you're fucking with, right? You're not going to win. You're not going to win. I don't give a fuck what you think the good outcome for you is going to be. That ain't going to fucking happen. And I've watched countless motherfuckers go down that made the wrong decision to fuck with the wrong guys. And that goes for amateur wrestlers and professional wrestlers.
Sure.
Fucking whole football teams fucked with whole teams of wrestlers, and it didn't end well for a football team.
But then we also have to remember there are plenty of psychopaths out there, such as our friend Marty, who are just fine with fighting guys like Marty Jannetty. So,
yeah.
Listen, I don't even get the whole fighting thing, to be honest with you. I mean, when you're younger, I guess, but I don't even get it at this point. I mean, we're all older statesmen at this point. I don't even get it. It's like, really, I mean,
this point,
Father Time has taken away everything that we've worked for. So it's like, you know.
You know what's funny about that, Monthe, is from the time I was a kid, my mom was so great. I was such a lucky guy. I grew up with two incredible parents. I'm not one of those guys that can, reel off what a fucked up life I had. I had the opposite. I was given everything by two incredibly loving people who, they'd already raised a family by the time I was born. So I just got all the benefits of fucking two parents working and money to spend on me. So I was really lucky. My mom could see at a very early age I was going to be a big kid. And I had a couple of incidents in school where she sat me down and she goes, son, you're going to be faced with a decision in your life. You're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to be a typical fucking bully? Are you going to be the kid that fucking runs around picking on all the fucking people who are less fortunate than you in school and in your life? Or are you going to be the guy that says, hey, why don't you pick on somebody your own size? Why don't you try me instead of him? Why don't you fucking leave this guy alone? Because she said, I'll tell you, I know which one will make you feel better. And I got really good as a bouncer, for God's sakes. I was a bouncer. Part of the reason I was a great bouncer is because I could talk almost anybody out of fucking with me, even if they were really, really drunk. I could talk to my...
I had to interrupt you for a second. By the looks of you, who would want to mess with you back in the day? Gosh, in the 90s, dude, when I was watching you in WCW, it's like, dude, I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. And I was like a 16, 17-year-old kid, man. I was like, you were an intimidating dude back then.
Yeah, and so
who wants to fight this guy?
Not me.
Yeah, no, I had that on my side. And then add to it, because I was a shooter. Yeah, I was a shooter in the wrestling business too. So, I came from fucking, not only was I an amateur wrestler, but I broke in Japan and was taught submission wrestling by the greatest submission wrestler in the history of the fucking business, Fujiwara. So, that's the part about that. That's why it's like karate. Karate's not based on how bad you kick somebody's ass. You use karate to defend yourself, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's where I always based my life on it. And like Monthe said, God damn, fighting fucking hurts, man. Fuck that shit.
Fuck that. Please. You know what? Whatever, man. I don't get any of it. You know what I'm saying? So whatever.
Yeah.
I
hear
mean,
you.
in the wrestling business, as you know, Monty, it's very, very mafia. So, like, if you're out in public and somebody's like, "Hey, look, there, the wrestlers," let me go there and smack one of them in the mouth. Now you've got to kill that fucking guy. You cannot let this. Now, if somebody walks up to you and man to man fights you and whoops that ass, good on him. Take that one home with you. But if somebody wants to say, "Let me test your metal," you better fucking make sure your metal is strong.
There's only a few things to fight for, right? To fight for family, to fight for like I don't know. We talk about Chris Candido, like that. Why that guy didn't fight and attack people for banging his girlfriend on a regular basis, I never understood it. I just never understood it. You know, we were pretty close with
He
I
wouldn't
knew
believe it.
Chris. He's a great guy. That's why Chris he was exactly what we're talking about. That's just not who he was. He wasn't. That's why she did it to him, because she knew she could do it and get away.
right.
He was such an. I did the road with Chris and her, and I got to tell you, man, I fucking, it's one of my fondest memories of doing the road into WWF was with them.
One of my greatest disappointments was looking at Sonny's disgusting fat old face in person.
What are you talking about, dude?
Dude, okay, let me tell you, dude, I booked Sheiky and Captain Lou for an autograph signing. We was working off the back of Big Time. That was Kirk White's promotion.
Hey,
About,
are you the V bus or what?
oh yeah, about 2 hours down the road. Hang on. So real quick, they wanted us to include Sonny in this because she was on Kirk's thing too. And she got her feelings all hurt that we weren't interested. So we brought her in. Why not? We'll throw Sonny in on it. First of all, when she showed up to the signing, she showed up like a fucking bitch on wheels to everybody who she should have been nice to. But secondly, she was a fucking pig. Just looking at her in person, what the fuck happened to you? She fell off the cocaine. She fell off the cocaine cowboy and fell into a bottle of booze and got fat. That's what happened.
Bad choices.
Bad
Well,
choice.
listen, man, father time hits women too. But I got to ask you, Max, if you were friends with Chris, did you ever try to talk to Chris and say, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, the boys are laughing at you at this point."
You know, it's so funny because I'd already, you know, that the rumors were already out there. And this is one of those moments where it was just great to ride down the road with the two of them sitting in the back seat, and just listen to what was going on. And I will never again. I will never forget the incredible kindness and patience of Chris towards her. And I how do you, it's one of those moments like, this, you guys, that's that person that, no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you, because Chris really was one of those guys who lived a life with rose colored glasses. At least that's the Chris that I knew. He was just one of those guys where he was just that guy in the business who was probably why, how did he die? He died of an overdose?
Chris died of a blood clot. Yeah, blood clot. Yeah.
Well, again, I always wonder if guys like that don't die from broken hearts, because I'll never forget. Let me just put it this way. I'll never forget reading about Kurt Cobain when he died. And the guy that wrote the article in the Rolling Stone, I think summarized it best, is Kurt Cobain just didn't have the vicious heart to be in the music business. And Chris, I'm one of those guys too. That's why it was probably, if I would have stayed in the business, I guarantee you I wouldn't be on your show right now.
Yeah.
Because I was fucking going down at breakneck speed. I was falling apart. I was fucking on the edge of doing so many drugs, and I had already fucking stood at the edge and looked down. And I think that's where Chris was, man. He's one of those guys that he just, everything Chris ever showed me is what a gentleman and a kind human being he was. So you'll never hear me say anything bad about Chris Candido. All he ever did was treat me like fucking gold.
I think what it is people fall in love with something, whether it be music or whatever, sports, anything, and then they get to the dark side of it and they don't know how to handle it, like Kurt Cobain. And all right, listen, I'm going to give you guys you'll hopefully get a little dirt sheet pickup. Max, I'm putting you on the spot. So since the hot news is, was Shawn Michaels lover with Vince McMahon, in your opinion?
Let me tell you that by telling you a story about.
Yes.
There you go.
We got a little time for that.
So this is why I think Shawn didn't want me to fuck around, And if you don't believe this story to be true, ask Marty about it. So when I first got to Memphis, we were in the dressing room, and I got to tell you, man, I think it was probably within the first week or two I was in Memphis in the dressing room, and Shawn and Marty showed up. And I already told you about the Lincoln. I sent you a picture of the Lincoln, Rob, so that you can pull the Lincoln up anytime you want to and show Miss Christine, my Lincoln, that I ended up salvaging that ended up being my car through the entire wrestling business. But anyway, so we were in Memphis, and Marty comes in. I'm going to remember it the best I can. God damn, that was 35 fucking years ago. And a shitload of bumps, a shitload of painkillers, and a shitload of weed ago. We were all in the dressing room, and I believe Marty was there too. And Shawn, we all went, "Where's fucking Shawn, Marty?" And Marty looked at us and went, give us that Marty look, and we're like, what the fuck did that mean, right? And all of a sudden, about a half hour later, Shawn comes tripping in, and he's got this aura about him, and him and Marty ran off and talked and stuff. And then that night, this guy shows up at the dressing room, and he is there to offer Shawn a ride to the next town on Tuesday night. So we'd wrestle in Memphis on Monday. Then we had to drive all the fucking way back to Louisville, Kentucky to wrestle on Tuesday. Then Wednesday night was Evansville, Indiana. And then we'd start the whole fucking deal over again to get back to Memphis for television on Saturday morning. This guy, who looks like a Southern televangelist, shows up in the dressing room and takes off. Shawn takes off with him.
Oh, wow.
And leaves. The next week, Shawn comes back to the dressing room with him. This guy.
Same dude.
Wearing, this was the late 80s. So this was the era where they had those incredible stonewashed outfits where you had the jean, long jacket that went with it, and then, the snakeskin cowboy boots. And fucking Shawn rolls in the dressing room with at least a couple $1,000s worth of Dior and Tony Lama boots and, fucking everything. And here's this guy out there and Marty Jannetty rolling his eyes even more, right? And so then,
tell you something right
so the great part about this is I find out, and we all find out later, that this guy is like the ultimate fucking swerve artist A couple of weeks later, the fucking FBI showed up looking for him because he'd fucking chartered an airplane under false pretenses. So the jet that he chartered to fucking fly Sean around, he'd stiffed them on the bill, and they were fucking looking for him at the arena. And he must have settled it all because he came back, and we all know the Brother Love character from
Pritchard.
from WWE, right?
Mm-hmm.
From WWF, which was Bruce Pritchard, right? That gimmick was stolen from who ended up being my manager and the guy that toted Sean all around the South. And I talked to him about it all. I don't need to go into much more detail. The rest of it tells itself. You make your own decisions about what I just told you.
Sure.
But he ended up being Brother Ernest Angel. He was my manager, and that was the gimmick that the WWF stole to make Brother Love.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, if Sean got his shit pushed in to get a pair of snakeskin boots, fucking good for you, Sean. Get yours where you can, boo-boo. Go get it.
I never thought less of him because of it.
Yeah.
And why would you think less of him because of Vince? I mean, the great thing about Sean is Sean, you can be an opportunist, but he still had to carry the torch.
And
whether he's Vince or not, it doesn't matter. He still had to be fucking the Heartbreak Kid and be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Right. Whether Sean, liked boys and girls, liked boys and played with girls, whether he was a horrible person, he was still a hell of a lot better of a wrestler than I was.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it goes past wrestling, though, Rob. It's moral fiber. Again, you're homosexual, bisexual, doesn't matter. But the point of the matter is, this is a guy that, took advantage of people and hurt people to do things and get over. I mean, we were friends with Mike Mantor, who, passed away a few years ago. Great guy. That guy, all he wanted to ever do was wrestle, and Shawn Michaels went out of his way to fuck him for whatever reason. I don't know. And to me,
I know Sean's a shitty person.
Right,
He'll admit it.
What'd you say, Max?
Oh, I lived. You got to understand. I know Mike really, really, really well. I lived in Germany with him, and I mentored that motherfucker, Mike.
Yeah.
So I know what they did to Mike because they made that was the shit when they were just bringing guys in to make fun of them and fucking hurt people. And that was the MO of the Clique. I'm one of those guys. They did the same shit to me.
And that's my whole point, right? Whether you're gay or not, that's really doesn't matter. If you decide to do something to move up the ladder, that's all well good because you're putting yourself on the line. But when you step on others to destroy others, I understand people have to keep their spot, okay? I get it.
I agree with that.
Sometimes you hold people down. But when you viciously go out of your way and you take it, listen, you guys are a fraternity. The three of you guys. I'm not part of that fraternity. I'm not a wrestler, nor do me and Jimmy ever think we are. We're fans who started the show. You guys are a fraternity. You guys are supposed to be a family. So whether you're attracted to Sonny or not, I don't agree with, that's your fraternity partner. You shouldn't be banging his old lady. There's moral value there.
But on that same note, though, Monthe, Max.
There's always bad family members, unfortunately, in a family.
Max, they were also at that time, when she was legit fucking either Sean or Brett, and that was supposedly the only one she was fucking. People were still talking about all the dudes she was fucking, and they even threw Canyon's name in the mix. So obviously, Chris wasn't fucking her. So, how many people do you think she was actually really fucking? It was obvious she was stepping out of Candido. But was it do you think, they were all saying in the back, just based on what you saw?
You know what the irony of what you're talking is? Here's the irony of what you're talking about here. This isn't like professional baseball or professional football or anything, and here's why. This is professional wrestling. And professional wrestling, here's why wrestling is completely different than anything else, is it's a work. And everybody in the fucking business, the guys that seem to excel the best at the business, that doesn't mean, just like in Hollywood, it doesn't always, the greatest actors aren't the ones that rise to the top. It's the ones who play the fucking game the best. And the wrestling business is a dirty fucking game that you better be prepared to play and do anything to get yourself to the top. And that means anything. And a lot, when you talk about moral fiber, when you talk about, morality and all of that, in the wrestling business, once you walk in those fucking doors, that shit all goes up. That's the way I was taught. When you're fucking, there's adage after adage, be careful who you're shitting on your way to the top, because you're going to face them on your way to the bottom. All that shit, none of that, to me, it's all irrelevant, because the truth of the matter is, again, instant karma, and karma will get you. If you do that to people, and I would be the first to tell you, when you shit on people, because I have shit on people in my past, and I'm not proud of it at all. But the way that made me feel inside are feelings I couldn't accept. And so I vowed to myself I would constantly try to be a better man and not do that to people. And that's part of the reason I failed so miserably in the business. I could have fought and tried to come back, considering what I went through and what I did. But I realized from a standpoint of, if I did, like I said, it would have been my demise. It would have cost me something so grand, it wasn't worth it. And so for me, you make that measurement, right? What's more important to you? You know? Is the pop of the crowd, is banging the rats, is the thrill of the money of working at a couple of WrestleManias.
Pop of the crowd, baby, always that pop.
Is that all worth anything? Is that worth anything in your life?
Yeah, it comes down to that. Yeah, I agree.
Well said. Well said, boys.
Well said.
The pop of the crowd is worth something in life. It is.
Well, it certainly is, but it certainly feels better if you tried to maintain some kind of integrity through it.
Yeah.
And, that's a big part of, especially towards the end of my wrestling career, when I was really toppling on the verge of becoming a piece of shit. I could have easily fallen into that piece of shit category, but Cass was always a real good moral compass on, let's make sure we're doing it the right way. And he would explain the right way and why he thinks it's the right way. And then we would make the right decision. I didn't always want to make the wrong decision, but more often than him, I would have wanted to make the wrong move.
It's a dirty business.
The wrong move always feels easy and good at the time. There's no.
Listen, the pop is like a drug, right? Again, I don't know, but the pop is like a drug, but it only lasts. I'll leave you at this. Shawn Michaels, I think he has 2 kids, right? At some point, his kids are going to read this shit, and he's going to have to talk. And hopefully, again, we're all forgiven, right? We all make mistakes. To start off, what you guys were saying in the beginning of this show. But again, you still have to pay the piper for the things that you did, right? You will pay the piper in the end.
Well, and sooner or later, the excuse of, oh, it's just a fucking business, kid. That shit runs out. You can't just keep saying that. I was just on a show with Dusty Race, and oh my God, he is such a world-class individual. And it was so great to hear him talk about the moral integrity of his father. Mm-hmm. Because when you think about a badass in the wrestling business, I know I do. When I think about a stand-up motherfucker in the wrestling business, I think of Harley fucking Race. Harley Race has such a significant place in my life. I can't even summarize how big he was in my life. and to talk to his son about him and hear his son espouse those same criteria that he carried into his daily life, and his son got to, got to tell us stories about. It just made my soul feel good, because I know what a fucking nasty ass bastard Harley was outside of his home, and when he wasn't in Kansas, he was fucking Harley Race, man. He was the fucking ultimate heel. And he was one badass son of a bitch, but when he was at home with his family, he was a pure fucking family man. And it kind of like you were saying earlier, Monte, it is a mafia. Maybe it was you, Rob, that said it. It
Rob,
does. It is Cosa Nostra, man. It's who we are. It's such a family thing. And when you're doing your business, you do your business. And when you're home with your family, you're home with your family. And your Goombas, you don't talk about them. You don't embarrass your fucking family with them, which is their rats. The similarities are pretty profound between the wrestling business and the fucking mob. And just the difference is there's not quite the same amount of consequences if you go bad in the wrestling business. You don't end up in the fucking street with a couple of bullets in your head. Normally,
not lately, but back in the day.
there was times where
It was serious business back then.
Yeah, you fuck with the wrong guys, you may not have bullets in your head, but you would be done in the business. They would make sure you didn't wrestle again. And
or you could go by way of bruiser.
Exactly.
We did put our own in the dirt back in the day.
Right, exactly.
Terrible.
So,
Jesus Christ. Hey, fellas, we are really
home.
coming up to the end of our time. So we'll do the B-Bus next week. What the hell happened to NWA?
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't believe I took this off the rails, man.
Don't apologize. This was great.
God damn you, Monthe. Now we're going to have our O&A Stern feud start.
You really, Rob, I really love your show, but you really don't want us going up against you. We'll tear you a new asshole. You'll be done.
Please.
You'll be crying. Chris, we'll make sure we protect you, but Rob, you don't want to play that game. We like you too much, Rob.
Too much to even fucking have the ha-ha of that argument.
I think we should do that Crossfire show. That's all I'm saying.
I'm all in on the Crossfire show.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I did. Listen, I'm going to leave it at this, and I'm going to leave. But if people want to hear the Crossfire show, I heard, again, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but I heard Rob made some comments after Charlie Kirk's passing, and I hope that wasn't true. But we'll wait, and we'll have that discussion.
Okay, we can wait.
All right. Guys, it's always an honor to be on the show. Max, you are a good man, and I'm so glad to see you. Chris, you're a much better man than Rob, though, just so you know. Just remember that.
Well, everybody says that, so don't worry about it.
Where can we find you, babe?
You can find us on all social media. We're seen in New York cable by 150,000 fans weekly. Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere you can see us. And this Wednesday or Thursday, not sure yet, we've got Ron Shaw's back. Rob, one of your favorites. He's back on Thursday. But after that, we've got something called a special surprise for Hannibal. And then we're off to the races. Got a lot of great guests on. And again, always a pleasure to be on WrestleShoot. You guys rock.
Well, yeah.
Thanks
and
for
we're going
coming
to be back, of course. Sorry, buddy. What's that, Chris?
No, it's a fun time when Monthe shows up. Thanks for coming on.
Fucking love it, dude. We'll do the B-Bus next week on week 4 of the month of Payne. Real quick, Monthe, though, before we go, let me just say Howard Stern was bigger than Opie and Anthony, but they weren't scared of that motherfucker either, motherfucker.